everything you need to know about curing gel. We get tons of questions, and there's a lot. We're going to go through all of them right now on the Biz Talk. I'd like to cure...
My fist in your face.
Bro, you just stole my line, dude.
It's like melt into your cheek, bro.
Just like that slow-mo do. Like my lips are all jiggling.
It's like it's the front of the Pantera album, bro. Where the dude is just getting clocked in the jaw, bro.
Bro, if that is
vulgar display of power,
vulgar display of power, and if that is not the perfect cover for that album. That album
rips.
It rips, dude.
It does rip. I love that album.
It is a great. I had a friend recently, not to go off topic here, but I had a friend recently he posted that on his Instagram, and I was like, bro, that is like a great album.
I don't really listen. I love hard rock a lot. You know, that is like the hardest I'll get. But that whole album is just insane. If you want to get fired up,
just put that on. Put that one on. Okay. So I want to go through a couple things here. Everything you need to know about curing gel. Yeah. Okay. And there's a lot of confusion. People are always asking, they watch you guys freeze, or you have your hand outside the light, or you're, sometimes you're not even timing. It's like if you have two lights and you have a hand in there and you just keep it in there until you finish the other hand. People are always asking, can you overcure it? So I'm going to go through all this and then even talk about
undercuring,
gel polish,
overcuring, gel polishes, hard gels, everything. So the first thing is the base in the basic system of hard gel. You guys do two types of curing mostly, and I just want you to talk about them, bro. Correct.
There's freezing, and then you do like the full cure. What's the difference between the two?
So freezing is applying a layer and then getting it inside the light for a minimum of 30 seconds.
Okay.
Right. So like if I was going to put base gel in this hand, right, and then I stuck it inside the light, then I would work on this hand.
Okay.
Right. So after I'm done, then it's only going to take, I'd say 30 to 45 seconds to apply this hand.
Yeah.
Maybe as long as a minute. And then I would rotate, right?
So while you're in the process of building.
Or if I'm building a layer, right, and I don't have the right upper arch, say it's flat, so I would get it in the light for 30 seconds, and then I would continue to add onto the surface.
And then freeze.
And then, again, cure it again to freeze it. And freezing is so that it doesn't roll or move onto the skin. It just literally freezes in place.
So how many does that, because sometimes I'll see you guys do sometimes like 15 seconds or,
You just it depends on what it is or how thick the layer is. The thicker the layer, then the longer you're going to have to freeze. There's also freezing the product outside of the face of the light.
Okay. Yeah. Why do you do that?
To prevent the product from getting really hot.
Okay.
Right. So there's a thermal reaction that happens with gel, and the reason why it happens is because gel cures so fast.
Right.
If you took, say, acrylic and you just piled a large amount of acrylic onto the natural nail, you're going to feel it get really warm.
You're going to feel heat because that is a reaction happening.
It's a thermal reaction.
Right, correct.
So it's curing.
Right.
So gel, it happens within literally like 4 to 5 seconds, and it's curing very fast, right? So the thinner the layers, the less thermal reaction you're going to feel.
Sure.
Right. So if you're building in layers and then you're just freezing in the light while you're working in the other, it's a way of being able to continuously work so that you're not slowing yourself down. That is the process of freezing the product so you can continue to work, right, within a timely manner.
So just to break it down even more, it's like freezing is almost like stop the product from moving.
Yes.
Right? Like you build, because gel moves, you're building your layers, and then
Correct.
It's like let's just stop it from moving.
Correct.
Right now. And then when you're done with actually building whatever the body,
correct,
then you do your final full cure, which is 2 minutes. 1 minute?
1 minute.
1 minute.
In our light, which is a combination, the diodes inside the light emit 2 types of wavelength. So look, LED is UV as well. People have to realize that. Like UV, there's just different wavelengths of UV. An LED wavelength is around 405 nanometers. And then you're talking, I think it's like 365 nanometers for UV. So you have a broader range, which is going to cure a lot of different products that are on the market, including ours, because we have a very wide range of gel products.
Right.
But you do need to cure inside the light for a minute. Now, can you cure it? Well, basically curing it longer make a difference. Sometimes it does. Like some of the top coats that we have in the line, like the stain resistant top coat cures in a minute. But if you cure it for say 90 seconds, like a minute and a half, it's going to get a harder cure, which can lead to a shinier surface.
Got it. I think that's what you guys usually recommend. Hey, your final, maybe go a minute and a half.
I
sometimes
do
2 minutes.
2 minutes. I was going to say, especially with some of the harder top coats, like the stain resistant, like it has an automatic feature where you can go inside the light and it runs for like 99 seconds. Right. So just run the full 99 seconds. For those of you guys that do gels in the salon, it's nice to have 2 lights because
I was going to talk about exactly.
Once you're done, the hand goes into the light while you're working here, right? You're not overlapping the hand or crossing the fingers into a light like this. Look, I understand that everyone cannot afford 2 lights, so you have to be able to figure out how to do that.
I mean, if you're going to be a gel tech, you're going to do hard gel. You need to invest into, I think it's part of that system.
Black Friday.
Right, Black Friday, exactly, when it comes. You've got to invest in 2 lights. And I think that's the thing, right? Is like on that last coat of top coat.
Correct.
While that hand is in there, you might as well just leave it in there while you're working on the other hand. If it's probably going to take 90 seconds, and you just let it sit, and then you switch, and then when you're done, you're wiping this hand. If you're using a tacky layer or non-tack, obviously tacky layer, you wipe and then you can oil and do all that. It's going to take the amount of time. It's going to take 90 seconds, maybe 2 minutes.
When we ran 1 week course, OWC, pre-COVID, a lot of the instruction that we showed, it's funny because I feel like my teaching is kind of like, it hasn't changed, but I've kind of broken it down into just different layers where, when we had live classes, I used to just pick up 1 big bead of gel, just slap it onto the nail, and then work it like an acrylic bead and then freeze it in front of the lights before we go in.
Sure.
Now when I'm teaching, I literally focus on try to get the perimeter nice and tight, freeze that, then come back and add a blending bead on the surface to get your apex and upper arch. It also holds, if you create a perimeter around the nail, it kind of acts like a gully.
Yeah.
Right. So you just, if you can build around the body, and then you kind of have a flat spot or just a gully in the center, whatever you apply, it's not going to run down onto the skin. It'll hold it in place. It's very easy to be able to maintain. And you're able to do it in 2, which eliminates the thermal reaction, that really, really hot thermal reaction that can happen if you're building it way too thick.
Yeah. I mean, I think obviously gel's gotten way better in technology since it started. There's definitely less of that heat, but to your point that you were making earlier, if you take a big ball of acrylic and you heap it on the nail, you're going to feel heat. Same thing with gel, obviously. Working in layers is probably a good way. So then, okay, just going through the steps, Greg, freezing and full cure, at which point are you doing what? So in the beginning,
you're freezing all the way through. The only thing I do recommend is with your base gel.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah.
Okay. So don't rush it. apply a really nice even coat from cuticle to free edge, finish one hand, go inside the light. I understand that it only needs to have a minimum of 30, but don't rush the other hand. Take at least a minute, and then as soon as you're done, rotate and continue to work.
So full cure.
I like to full cure the base for a minute, just so that it gives it a really, really solid
foundation.
Solid foundation. And then as you're freezing through your application, when you're building the structure, so whether it's an overlay or you're doing a full set, look, if you're putting a form on and you're building a tip, you don't need to cure it for 30 seconds. You could set it inside the light for like 15 to 20. And then when you take it out of the light, you're going to have a little bit of flexibility. You could remove the form and then continue to build over the surface.
Yeah.
Right. That's going to save you time. So your freezing could be anywhere from, say, 15, like if you're building a thin extension on the free edge.
Kind of like what you guys do with acrylic.
Yes.
You build that free edge.
Yes, same with gel.
And then you come and do the body.
Yeah.
So if you do the same thing with gel, that free edge that you build,
Correct.
that guide, you can do 15, 20 seconds. Yeah, it's so thin.
People always ask me, like, what can you use to build the tip? You could use any gel. Honestly, you could use any gel you want to be able to build out the extension. If you want full coverage, if you want solid coverage, if you're doing design work, then you could just do a thin layer of your concealer gel to build it out. If you're doing design work, glass nails, color, build it out with clear. That way, whatever color you're putting onto the surface of the free edge, when you remove the form, you have an actual clear extension that's going to cure. When you stick it inside the light's not only going to cure from the top, it's going to reflect off the bottom and cure from the bottom as well.
So you go base gel, full cure. If you're doing an extension, that free edge that you build, that guide, you can freeze.
Correct.
And then take the forms off, and then each step in building the body, freeze until
you have the full nail built out.
Right. Then final cure.
Final cure, 1 minute.
Then you go and do your filing.
File, finish, clean it, protein bond the surface.
Top coat, at
least 1 minute.
Yeah.
At least 1 minute.
So full cure.
Full cure for a minute.
At least a minute. If you can go 2, get that full cure, that top coat nice and shiny, that would be ideal.
And just like, again, like people have asked me, can you over cure your gels? If you don't have a function on your light that doesn't shut off and you get carried away with, like, the hand stays inside the light and just stays on and on and on and on and on, and while you're working and you're like, oh my God, it's been 2 minutes since I finished this finger.
Yeah.
Yes, like, so overcuring, the only thing overcuring can do is it'll just accelerate the aging. It'll make, like, if you took a clear product and you stuck it inside a UV light and you left it inside the UV light for like 10 minutes, it'll come out looking yellow.
Yeah.
Right, so that's the only thing, which dissipates. So the gels do dissipate them, so they actually will dissipate back to clear.
But I mean, no, who's going to be sticking it in for over 10 minutes?
No,
I mean, you don't want to do that.
And you'd be surprised.
I mean, you go, like, all the lights have timers.
They do.
It's like you do a minute.
It's not like it was in the past where we had those tunnel lamps. Remember those?
Dude, I remember those. We used to have those,
big
bro.
Bulbs that used to pop in.
Oh my God, bro. We used to, you like try to get the bulbs in, and sometimes they would break and crack, and it's just nightmare.
Then we're going down a rabbit hole with the nightmare of a situation, but we don't have to deal with that anymore. The lights we have are fantastic.
Yeah. So obviously there's extremes in over curing. If don't keep your hand in the light for over 10 minutes. You don't want to do that.
No, again, it's not going to happen because they all have timers. So it's not a matter of, and if it's 2 minutes, that's not an overcure. Yeah, that's absolutely fine.
Yeah, exactly. And then, so same thing I'm going to assume is like gel polish. You're not freezing gel polish.
No, okay, so here's so with gel polish, especially with darker colors, you have to keep it inside the light for a minimum of 30 seconds. You cannot, and then the reason why I'm saying that is because if you're putting a really, really thick coat over the surface, that's kind of like you're on the border of like, is it going to cure? It's not. I always recommend doing thin coats. If you're doing a minimum of 30 seconds, then you're going to get a solid cure, and you need 1 minute cure for everything. If you're doing mission controlled gel paint, the paints which are solid colors, if you're doing thin, detailed line art, if you're doing really detailed dude, you could freeze for like 10 seconds.
That's what I've seen you do. Yeah.
Yeah. So like if you're doing detailed hand painting, design work where you're just doing small lines, small details, dude, it only needs 10 seconds of cure, and then you can continue with your design.
Yeah.
Gel polish, it's the same thing. Is if you're using it for art and you're using it to basically just do real thin, detailed work, because you could put it on a tile and use a art brush to be able to just
paint
painting with it. Then it just needs a minimal cure. But if you're doing full coverage, like a solid coat, then my recommendation is do 30. Look, at the end of the day, you're going to paint all 5. It's going to go inside the light, and you're going to work on the other. There's very few professionals I've ever met that can paint a hand in 30 seconds.
Right. Yeah, no, exactly.
It's very difficult to be able to hit that timing unless you're sloppy.
Yeah.
Right. So, paint it, get it in for, like, the timer will go off in a minute. You have an opportunity to work on the other hand. Start from the pinky, work to the thumb. And I always say that because the thumb basically leans to the side.
Right.
And if you apply a large amount on the thumb, by the time you get to the pinky, then everything slides to this side of the nail. So if you start here, right, you could start here. And if you really want to prevent everything moving, stick this inside and then do the thumbs separate. You can do that. Or just start from the pinky, work from the thumb. That's really good advice.
Yeah, thumbs usually give a little bit of a challenge.
Correct.
And I think that's a good point. You're talking about pigmentation. The more pigment that a color has, it's going to have slightly different curing properties than something that has very little pigment or light pigment, that's more on the transparent side. So that spectrum does exist. Same thing with acrylic, though, like color acrylic powders. If you have something that has more pigment in it, it's going to be a little bit more challenging to air cure.
I do recommend, if you guys are doing caption conversion base and you're using it with the powders, I don't recommend doing 30-second freezes. I recommend doing full 1-minute cures per coat.
Yeah.
That's important.
Yeah. That's huge. I really think that understanding those concepts like of freezing and full cure, that's something I was confused why you guys did it, but really explaining that and making sure you understand that process, especially if you're getting into gel.
Correct.
Is huge because, you're
not going to full cure every coat.
That's what people do. They're literally, and their burning time.
Been here for 4 hours.
Dude, exactly. It's like I think it's nice for people to know, understanding curing in gel, that freezing, when they talk about freezing, it's just setting it in place.
Correct.
Making sure it doesn't move. And then you do your full cure at those points, which is why it was nice to kind of go through that timeline for people so they understand how to actually cure gel. There's a way to cure gel.
100%. I'll definitely be doing a lot of it during nail school. So if you guys have an opportunity, make sure to tune in. Or, again, get a hold of Ray Bracamontes, right, for our Synergy Gel for Success Zoom classes.
Let us know in the comments below your sort of process in full curing and freezing. What do you do? Share it with us. We'd love to know. And also any ideas you have for future Biz Talks, let us know in the comments below. Greg, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for joining us, and we will see you next time on the Biz Talk.